Hello.
Hi, audience. I can't see myself.
No, I think we are on a delay. If you can see us, if you can hear us, please let us know in the chat. We are having a little bit of technical difficulty as normal. So let us know if you can see us and if you can hear us.
All right.
We might just be having a delay. So please let us know. Write us in the chat. Let us know you can see us. Let us know you can hear us. Let us know everything's working okay. So before we get started, you just got back from New York City, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long were you there?
I was there for a solid week.
Okay,
and,
wow.
Yeah, I was there for business-related reasons, and as you know, I just told you a lot about it on your show, which just happened, so I don't want to bore the audience that goes to both shows.
Oh, you were never a bore.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But you can... So, Heather's live stream for today, what's it, the 19th?
Yeah, I think today's the 19th.
Anyway, go to Heather's
Thank you.
live stream, and I talk about 4 different tourist trips. Things that I did in New York that I didn't do before that I recommend.
And that is the Vegas Aces, my channel. Mm-hmm. So check it out. But yeah, we had a lot of stuff we were talking about. Was there anything that we didn't talk about New York that you want to?
I will say that, yeah, I stayed in Queens, and I'm sure I'm going to offend somebody, but I don't think there's a whole lot to do in Queens, nor the Bronx. So Manhattan and Brooklyn are where it's at. That's where you want to be.
Cool.
So, but yeah, let me talk about today's show. So, this is a special show at Latest Casino Bonuses, lcb.org. It's a sister site to the Wizard of Odds. Their readers submitted all these questions here. I think there's 25 of them. 21, and these are questions that they want me to answer live.
Awesome.
So I don't know if we can get through all 21 in an hour. So if not, we'll have to break this into 2 shows. But if you would do the honors of reading me the questions, and I will endeavor to answer them.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Well,
I feel very honored.
Thanks, Heather.
Okay. Now, before we get to the very first question, thank you guys so much for responding on the chat. Thank you for letting us know that you can see us and hear us. It's really good to know that we are working and live and everything is good. So that's awesome.
I see Nick is here. Hi, Nick.
Hey. So the first question is, I like the name of the site. So does it mean you are a Wizard of Oz movie or novel fan, or did you just thought it was a clever play on words?
And who asked the question?
CBGSWE.
Okay, that's a question I get a lot.
Okay.
And to be honest, it's mainly just a play on words, and I have to admit, I was not the first person to think of it.
Really?
Alex Trebek, before he did Jeopardy, he did a bunch of other short-lived game shows, and one of them was called The Wizard of Odds.
Oh my God.
But yeah, the story is that, so in the mid-90s, I got tasked with making a website for my office, and I enjoyed the project so much that I just started making other hobby websites about, well, one was about math, and one was about gambling, and one was about baby names, and there might be others that I forgot about. But of course, the gambling one really took off. And for the first...
The baby names took off too.
That's true. That's true.
You did a lot of really impressive
Yes,
stuff.
I'm proud to say I'm famous for 2 things. So, but yeah, for the first about year, my gambling page was just called Mike's Gambling Page, because I just couldn't think of a better name. And like I said, it was just supposed to be a hobby thing. Like, I didn't really care what it was called. But it started to get more and more popular, and I started to put more attention to it. And... but one day, I was reading someone's newspaper at lunch that he had thrown in the trash. And there was an article about, what's that guy's name? Donald Angelini. Okay. So he was a Chicago mobster that was mixed up in investments in Las Vegas. And I think his particular area of interest was sports betting. But it mentioned that that he had been sent to prison, and that he went by the moniker the Wizard of Odds. Huh. And I thought, well, now that he's in prison, I don't have to worry about him getting angry at me.
I don't know. You might have to worry about him after he gets out of prison. That's what I would be worried about.
Well, I think that he died, but maybe...
Oh, okay.
But yes, I thought, wow, that is a clever name. And this was still in the early days of the internet, so I went to see if I could buy it, but it had already been taken, and someone was just squatting on it. But the THE wizardofodds.com was still untaken, so I grabbed that. And so the website was under thewizardofodds.com for a few years. But then I eventually bought wizardofodds.com and moved everything over there. And yeah, so that's the story. But okay, I like the movie The Wizard of Oz, but am I a total fanatic about it? No.
I have to disagree with you. I would call you a fan. You know everything there is to know about that. If I asked you a Wizard of Oz trivia question, you would be able to answer it. So I think that qualifies you as a fan.
Well, somebody recently asked me, and I was so embarrassed, but I think they asked
me. Sorry.
No, were you there at Galaxy Gaming when someone asked me?
It was me.
It was you?
It was me. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
it was
I
me.
am still so ashamed. That was you. I thought it was one of the dealers there.
It was me.
Oh, but yes, Heather got me on a Wizard of Oz question, so I have had to lower myself in going from being a huge Wizard of Oz fan to just being...
See, you are a fan.
I am a fan.
You are a fan.
Right,
You're
but do I know everything? No.
You do. No, you know everything. Don't let him fool you. He knows everything. Okay, so we got another question. Mm-hmm. This is by Booty. Booty has a question. Now I want to change his question to make it in tune with the name, Booty. Okay. Hey Mike, big fan of your website. I use your Ultimate Texas Hold'em strategy all the time. I read at your forum about your involvement with Inside the Edge and another movie. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us more about that experience? And do you have plans to produce your own Wizard documentary at one point? That's a good question.
Okay, thanks for asking. So for those who don't know, Inside the Edge is a movie that follows around a card counter, mm-hmm. and he gets an RV and he hits up casinos all over the country while he tracks his wins and losses. And he doesn't just do card counting; he also does shuffle tracking and ace location and hole carding and other advantage plays. But to help explain some of the more technical elements of blackjack, they had me and some other experts cut into it to explain certain terminology. So I'm one of the experts, and I am there to kind of explain about the mathematics of blackjack. And by the way, I think it's quite a good movie. It
was really good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And
I got all excited when I saw him. I'm like, oh my God, there he is! I know you. Sorry.
Well, thank you. But yeah, I'm proud to have an IMDb
that is
entry
really
now.
Cool.
What was I going to say? Okay, and the other one is for I would call it a documentary called Pokey Nation, and it's about slot machines, what they call pokies in Australia, and about how people are so addicted to them there, and all the shall we say problems that they cause, but it also looks at both sides, the pro and the con of legalized slots in Australia. Mm-hmm. And again, there I just cut into it to talk about the mathematics of the games. And in both cases, what you get on my end is in the movie you just see me sitting there talking, not talking to anyone in particular. I'm just sitting there talking. Mm-hmm. And so what happened in both cases is a film crew came to my house and
they actually filmed that in your house?
I know with, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they did.
Where did they film? I'm just curious. Was it at the very
in
entry?
the piano room.
Ah, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So, so they ask me questions, but you don't hear the questions being asked on camera. But they say, when you answer the question, try to word what the question was into your reply. And so that's what I did. And with both cases, I must have been answering questions for at least an hour.
Oh, wow.
But in both cases, I only got maybe a minute or two in the movie.
That sounds about right.
Have you ever been in a movie?
No, a movie
or TV show?
Well, here's the thing. I've been in a couple movies that did not become movies. I was an extra. And then I've been in several commercials, and I did modeling when I was a kid and all that.
Really?
So the very first commercial for Excalibur I was in. when Excalibur first opened up. I think I was 7 years old or something. And we went in there and we got to go in when nobody else was there. So the whole place was empty and we had the whole Excalibur to ourselves. And we had to wait until midnight because we were doing something. We had to go outside. It had to be dark. We were like, oh my God, look, this is so cool. Like, that's what we were doing. And I had to stand on a box and everything. Anyway, so I did that for the Excalibur. I did one for Palace Station where I had to eat at their buffet, but it was really disgusting because there was like cockroaches and stuff there. But I had to act like, oh my God, that's so good. This is just amazing. And they're like, this is why it's called acting. Okay. So I did some when I was younger, but not so much after that. So. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. The Palace Station buffet, by the way, has gotten a lot better.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
And I happened to stay at Excalibur the very opening day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
At the time, it was like this hot new thing,
Yeah.
and the whole medieval theme, and they had good restaurants, but it's gone way downhill since then.
Yeah, and it was really the first themed casino there was on the Strip. I mean, you can't really count Mirage because Mirage didn't have as much theme.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really count Tropical as a theme.
Yeah.
But Excalibur, that was a theme. That was, something really amazing. Are we good on that question?
Yes.
Okay. So next question is from Big Butt. I really like these people. Okay. So I was wondering, what is your process for analyzing new games? Maybe my question seems silly, but I'm no math expert. Do you use any software to analyze the odds? And if so, how long does it take you to write such software programs? And how long does it take to get the results?
Well, I could talk all day in answer to that one.
Oh, maybe we should do a live stream where it's just that. Okay, go for it.
It would be so boring.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
The complexity of analyzing a casino game is all over the place. Like some games like roulette is super simple. I could analyze that in a spreadsheet in 1 minute. And then there's other games like I'm doing a game that's kind of like Ultimate Texas Hold'em for a client right now, and it takes my computer on that game 24 days to loop through all of the way the cards can fall.
Wow.
Not to mention all the time on my part to write the code to analyze the game. So that was a more difficult one. I probably put in at least like 60 hours of human time into that. And then there's some games, like there is a game, I just got asked to write about a new game called Quantum Blackjack, and that's online. And this is a game where the game will select 1 to 3 random cards from a separate deck, and if the player ever gets one of these cards, then it's like getting a multiplier if you win. So the player is incentivized to hit and split to have a greater chance of getting these multiplier cards. And so that one would just be an ungodly, nightmare to analyze.
Okay.
So all I did with that one is I stated the rules. I stated what the casino operator claimed the house advantage was. But on that one, strategy, you guys are on your own. I'm not going to fuss with it.
But I think you bring up a really good point. So you have to take the rules into account.
Oh, absolutely.
So if there are some rules you take into account, but not other rules, that might affect the number. Which is why, for example, you see, I believe it is Baccarat. Sometimes the banker has, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm going off of memory, banker has 1.06% house edge, but if you do it a different way, it's a 1.24% house edge.
Well, the player has the 1.24.
Oh, well,
and
then what am I thinking? But it's like it has 2 different numbers, and that it depends.
Well, the reason it's different there is that the banker gets to act last, and he has the information to see if the player hit, and if so,
but that's
what card did he get?
That's only on MIDI, though, right?
That's true with every form of Baccarat, except for something that's like a total off-the-wall variant like Prosperity Baccarat.
So instead of Baccarat, what if you use Pai Gow Poker as an example?
That's a tough one. Okay. Baccarat, by the way, would be quite easy because there's only... So we'd only have to do 6 nested loops.
That was a bad example.
Yeah.
Then. So let's do Pai Gow Poker. Because with Pai Gow Poker, you have to take into account whether they're banking or not, and then that affects the house edge.
Oh, definitely. Like in analyzing every game, I have to know every single rule. If there's just one where I get an I don't know, then I just can't do it. So you need to know everything. I view analyzing casino games as like a math puzzle, and the rules are the information I'm given, and I'm trying to determine the answer. What's the best way to play it, and how much money would you lose if you played it that way?
Okay.
So, but Pai Gow Poker, that's a kind of a tedious, time-consuming one to analyze because you have to put into code that whole house way. And that...
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, that requires being really careful, but it's also just kind of tedious.
What's harder, Pai Gow Poker or Pai Gow Tiles?
Pai Gow Tiles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So are we good with that one?
Yes.
Okay, next question. Let's see. You don't want to do any of the...
Well, we can pause from time to time to see if there's any questions on the questions from the audience.
I do have one good question from the audience
Okay.
that I think would be good. Mr. Chad asks, what was your favorite meal during your New York trip?
Oh,
That's
yes.
a good question, right?
Yes. I just wrote about this in my newsletter today.
Oh, cool.
There is an outstanding Japanese restaurant in Williamsburg.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to remember the name of it. I think it starts with a Z. Oh boy, maybe one of you guys can look it up. Go Google Japanese restaurants in Brooklyn. And I think it's like, and I'm pretty sure it starts with Z, and I think it has 7 letters in the name. But that was out. Not only was it the best Japanese meal I've ever had, it was among the best I have ever had of any kind of food.
Wow.
And the restaurant, it has this kind of like secretive door, like there's no signage or anything.
That is so cool.
I mean, at first I thought I was in the wrong place because it looked like an abandoned building. But I go in there, and then you get in there, and the whole place is like a maze.
Oh, wow.
And fortunately, when a staff member said follow me, and he took me through all these corners and mirrors and stuff.
Wow.
And you don't sit at one table like in a huge room like you usually do in a restaurant, but every patron has their own space. And I don't want to say room, but you go into this room, but it doesn't have a door, but it has one of those rolling mat things.
Okay.
So when the waiter wants to take anything away or give you, he rolls up the mat, and then he does what he needs to do, and then he rolls it back down again. So you have lots of privacy with whoever you're with.
Oh, I like
and
that.
And everything. So I did an 8-course thing that was all predetermined by the chef with the sushi pairing, and it was so good.
That sounds...
And the staff was really nice, and the staff seemed to be all native Japanese people. The ambiance was great. Okay, let's see if anyone dug up the name of it.
I want to go there, and now I can't
Zenkichi, was that it?
Zenkichi.
Yes,
Zenkichi.
that is it. That is a great place. And I think that if you go to Brooklyn, you will find tons of great restaurants.
Awesome.
And yes, you can find them too in Manhattan, but Brooklyn is not as touristy and maybe not quite as expensive as Manhattan.
I want to go try it, but I can't justify the plane ticket to go try it.
If we're ever in New York, we're going there.
That's a deal. I like that. That's a really good idea. Okay, so back to questions. So now that we did one from the audience, let's do one from here. Lipstick asks, is it truly a pleasure to pick your brain? I love that. I am a video poker gal. Here are some of my video poker questions. Watching other players play, I have to admire. There are times I cringe at what they hold or throw away. Just yesterday, I finally, for the first time ever, was dealt a royal flush on 3 lines. Royal flush dealt to me. What is the odds of landing that, and are the odds greater when playing multiple lines?
Okay, good question. To address the first point, it drives me crazy when I see someone I know playing badly. Like, for example, my cousin loves video poker, and I think she does this on purpose, but she'll play any jacks or better based game, and she'll get a low pair and a high card. And she always clicks to keep the high card. Aww. Oh, that's just painful.
Do you say something?
Yes. I will go "Ew, you're hurting my eyes." And then she laughs.
And then she does it anyway?
No. But I think that she just does that hold, but doesn't press deal just to drive me crazy.
Oh, that's so funny.
So yes, but if it's a total stranger, that's their own money.
Yeah.
But if it's someone I know, like and my mother.
She does that too?
Yeah, I don't know if she would do that play. I cannot give her any strategy tips. She just has to feel the machine, like the machine wants to give me a flush. So I'm going to, keep 3 to a royal over a high pair, something like that.
So you don't go out with them very often, do video poker then?
She always has to play some video poker.
So do you walk
It's like
away?
a tradition.
Are you like, okay, I can't look. You go play,
no,
I'll go.
It's kind of like a tradition. She has to drive me a little bit crazy with her video poker play. But yeah. Yes. Okay. And so about the question about the Dealt Royal, congratulations.
Yay!
I've only had one of those.
Awesome.
So the probability is about 1 in 650,000 hands will be a Dealt Royal.
Wow.
Yep. And it doesn't matter whether it's single play, 3 play, 5 play, anything play. It's always the same. And for a given pay table, like let's say you're playing 9-6 jacks or better, the expected return is going to be the same whether you're playing 1 hand, 5 hands, 100 hands. It's all the same, but you certainly are going to see more royals, say playing 5 play than 1 play, but it's because you're playing 5 hands at once.
Okay.
So, so I hope that addresses that question.
Cool. Let's see. There was a little bit more to the question, and I didn't realize that, so I'm just taking a look to see if there was anything that we forgot. I once sat next to a gentleman who swore that holding the kicker on 1, 2, or 3 aces is a must. I disagree. Who is right?
Holding a kicker with 1, 2, or 3 aces? Okay, well, if you had, say... that's a bad example. Even if you had... like ace jack, you would keep you would keep both of them.
Okay.
But if you had, say, a low pair or any pair and also an ace, you never keep a kicker. Absolutely never keep a kicker in video poker. And you have to get away from thinking that video poker is like a video representation of live poker. It is not. The only thing in common is like the hand order. Okay. It's a completely different strategy. So
you can't use the same strategy on poker for video poker?
Absolutely not. Completely different games.
That's good to know.
Yes, it would be like using chess strategy and checkers, something like that.
You never know. I mean, it could work, maybe. Have a lot of mad people at you, but this person also says, I don't hold inside straights on the draw. Do you think it's wise to hold that or not?
No. Except if you're playing a deuces wild game, you do not go for inside straights except if there's 3 high cards. For example, 9, Jack, Queen, King. There you go for the inside straight because you're also going, you have 3 ranks where you can make a high pair. So at least you have a safety net there if you don't get the straight.
Okay. And then the last question from this person, I see a lot of people hold, for example, a king, queen offsuit. I think that's a huge no-no. What do you think?
They're right.
Okay.
So here's the general rule with high cards. Mm-hmm. If you have, and there's nothing better. If you have 1, you keep it. If you have 2, keep both of them. If you have 3, look to see if any 2 are suited. If they are, then keep the suited 2. If they're all different suits, then you keep the lowest 2 cards, except if it's Jack, Queen, King, then you would keep all 3.
Okay.
So, yes. So, if you have 2 high cards, and again, nothing else good, then keep both of them.
Okay.
And this goes for, I'm basing this on jacks or better, but this strategy is the same for bonus poker. Now, when you get to some games like double bonus and a double-double bonus, where the aces have a lot of value, I don't have that strategy memorized, but it's possible that if you got, say, an ace and a jack, you would keep the ace only because of the premium value on the aces in those games.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Should we catch up on the audience, see if there's any comments?
That sounds fantastic. Okay. So John asked, what book would you recommend for Texas Hold'em? If you had to recommend a book for Texas, oh no?
I must admit, live poker is not my strong suit.
Okay.
And I have read a few, but none of them have I felt, wow, I'm so much of a better player. I find it really difficult to get through most poker books, to be perfectly honest with you.
Okay.
I mean, I have started so many and never finished them.
Do you do that with books normally? Start them and not finish
No,
them?
if it's like a novel, I will finish the whole thing.
Okay, so then it's just okay.
But yeah, poker books can be quite dry.
Well, in that case, let's put that question to the audience. So if you're watching it now, or if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead and put this in the comments. What is your favorite Texas Hold'em book? Let us get a big group of people answering that, and we can have a list for people. Okay, so that is our question from the audience. Let's go back to this. So Nat Steph says, I must admit, I'm not much into table games. I'm more of a slot person. Here's my question, and I think it's a good question for some of our members who might have wondered about it once or twice, particularly those who frequent land-based casinos. Is there any correlation between the number of people playing and the bets per spin placed to triggering a faster payout? For example, I've heard people say, head to the grouping of slot machines that is most crowded and avoid those that are empty. Any truth to this thought process?
No. And let me tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2001, I did a survey of every major casino in Las Vegas to determine how loose their slots were. Mm-hmm. And with every single one, I played slots all over the casino. I played them in the well-trafficked areas. I played them in the, the dark places by the bathrooms, everywhere. And I noticed a great deal of, in fact, complete consistency that if a casino liked to set, say, their nickel slots at 90%, they were at 90% everywhere.
Okay.
And if it was 88%, it was 88% everywhere. Now, some of them, like some of the MGM casinos, did have sprinkle around some looser ones here and there, but you could find them anywhere. So as the myth goes, the casinos like to put the loose slots in high traffic areas, so supposedly people will see people winning more, but it's just not true. And furthermore, I've talked to slot managers, and they say, there's a certain return I like for a certain denom, and that's just what I set everything at.
Yep.
Do you agree?
I do agree, and can I add one more thing to it?
Sure.
So one of my high school best friends ever, loved the guy, he actually did that for a living, where he would work on slot machines, and he would be the one that programmed it. And he said, everything is random. We do not set off to we don't add any algorithm or anything about who's going to win, who's going to lose. It's just completely and totally random.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've spun a million times before, it doesn't matter how you played, nothing. It's just completely and utterly and totally random.
Yeah, he's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
it's just based on the math of what they want as far as a return.
Right.
That's all.
Right. So yeah, your odds are the same, except if there's a progressive feature. Whether or not it's been a million spins since the jackpot or it just happened, it's always the same, much like, say, roulette or craps.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so going on to people in the chat, let's see. Lots of comments. Richard says, I'm a craps enthusiast. I enjoy your website. I've been on several times with questions and always get a good reply and answers. And he just wants to thank you for being here and answering people's questions.
You're welcome.
That was a pretty cool one. I like that. Let's see, another one. Silver Hunter, I have a question about coin flips. If I flip a quarter 1,000 times, is it safe to assume that heads and tails will be within 20 either way? A friend of mine wants to bet on it.
That's something where I would need to get out my calculator or a spreadsheet to tell you the probability of being within 20 exactly.
Yeah.
But just going off the top of my head, I would estimate, there's probably a high probability of being within 480 and 520 of either side. Probably, I don't know, probably like 95%.
Can I add something
Sure.
to that? So the coin flip is actually a really great demonstration of statistical fluctuation. If you go and you flip a coin 100 times, or if you ask someone to do that for you 100 times, you'll be able to tell if the person cheated and didn't do it, or if they actually did flip the coin 100 times. And the way you do it is when you look at the answers, if the person is pretty even, when I say even, I'm like heads, tails, heads, tails, heads, heads, tails, tails, like that. That's pretty even. That's when you know that they didn't actually flip the coin and they cheated and they just like made up a bunch of answers. And math teachers do this to their students actually as a worksheet. You could tell someone actually flipped the coin when you have streaks, and this is a good example of the streaks that happen in the casino. You'll have a lot of like head streaks, you'll have a lot of tail streaks, there's no even. That's how you could tell when the person really flipped the coin. And you see exactly the same thing in the casino, where you have either a lot of hot streaks, a lot of cold streaks, whatever it is, but you do see those streaks, and that's a part of statistical fluctuation.
Yes. The way this is often said is that if you ask someone to write down the results of 100 fake flips, it's very easy to use statistics to determine that someone didn't actually flip a coin, that they were faking it. And one way you can tell is that there should be an alternation half the time. But usually they will alternate more than 50%. And they tend to like avoid streaks if you're faking it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And furthermore, this also can be used to test people if they're cheating on their taxes.
I didn't know that.
If people are making up numbers, they tend to be bad at it. And the IRS computers test for this.
Are you serious?
Like, are your numbers, like, should we say like your total income? You know, if you're self-employed, it should be kind of like a random looking number.
Okay.
But if you are just like making something up,
it might be 60,000 or 40,000.
yeah, if it's like overly rounded or just I don't know exactly how they do it, but people are really bad at coming up with random things. Like if you ask someone to pick a random number between 1 and 10, almost always they will say something that's 7 or higher.
Shit, I was thinking 7. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
With 7 being the most common.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
So, yeah.
Did you have to do that when you worked at Social Security?
No, that was
okay.
Yeah, that would have been outside of our scope because all that stuff gets passed through the IRS first. And then the IRS is supposed to be the one like sucking out the Social Security taxes. So we get what we get. But if you're on disability, you're not supposed to be working, or you can work a little bit. And in fact, we encourage people to try to get back to work, and we may not punish them for it.
Right, the work
if they give it a try.
Yeah.
And so if people are like filling out a form about that, they might look for this phenomena of fake numbers.
They no longer do it that way. So they don't have you fill out a form anymore. They actually just like look at your bank account. They have your bank account information, and they can look at your bank account whenever you want, and then they keep track of what money you put in and what money you take out. Yeah. More information than you needed to know.
No, that's interesting that we are getting further down that path than I thought.
Shall we go back?
Yes, let's
okay.
not get too off topic.
So the next question is from Dejuka. I feel like I'm reading Star Wars names. Hi, Mike. I'm a new member of this online gambling world. I'm interested in slot games. Could you give us an explanation? What is precise different? Is there any between volatility and variance in online slot games?
Sure. Like RTG slots are pretty volatile. For example, and a lot of online casinos are kind enough, like where they have a menu of like 100 slots, is they sometimes will give you a volatility rating, and it'll usually just be something simple like low, medium, or high. So you can go off of that, but yeah, it all depends on how the game was actually made by the mathematician who made the game, who might have been me. But yeah.
Might have been?
Yeah. I mean, I have designed a lot of slots for internet casinos.
Do you ever go on an internet casino and you're like, oh, look, there's one that I made?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Not as much as I used to because it's difficult for us U.S. players to play, but yeah, but what I think the player should want to know even more than the variance is what the return of the game is.
Right.
And so I really respect any internet casino that tells you that information, which few of them do.
But land-based casinos are more likely to tell you that information, right? Because you see that on billboards here in Las Vegas. Oh, we have a 97% return, or we have a 98% return. Like, they're really markety about it. They market it.
Well, though, I know the Rampart and the El Cortez do that.
And the Plaza.
Okay, I didn't know about them. But, yeah, if they are quoting something like our slots are 30% looser than the downtown average, that's a good thing. And I'm sure, and they should have statistics to back that up. I don't like the way they phrase it, like our slots are 30% looser. What they're really saying is like maybe the downtown average is 90% and we're 93%. I think that just makes them less tight. That's how I would word it. But nevertheless, most casinos just don't have any information at all. You're just totally at their mercy when you play their slots.
Is that like information that you can ask, or do they normally not give that information
They
away?
won't give that information away.
So it's like a trade secret?
Yeah.
That's really annoying.
Oh, I agree. Like in Britain, a slot machine must disclose its return percentage, and it's always like buried way in the back of the help screens, but at least it's there. Right. And I bet no players ever actually look for it, but I really respect the law that there is that disclosure, and I think that players should be allowed to know what the odds are or what the rules are for anything that they play, but sadly that's not the case here in Nevada. Yeah, so that's my opinion on that.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, but I will say, it's a little off topic, but if you want to know how stingy a casino slots are, look at their video keno. And video keno is completely quantifiable. And so a casino that is stingy in video keno will be stingy on their slots, and likewise, loose on video keno, loose slots.
Would you find that they're the same with table games? So the people who are really tight might be one of the casinos that only offer 6 to 5, for example?
Not necessarily,
Really?
because it's I'm sure you know, it's completely different departments that
Yeah.
run the slots and the tables.
But they have the same general manager. And if the same general manager is being like, hey, we need more money, tighten it up, maybe.
Well, they
maybe
actually
not.
do that. Well, when they get a new general manager, lots of times he wants to have a surge of money, so he will say tighten everything up, and that will cause a temporary surge of money, but it's also going to cause a lot of disgruntled players, and they're probably going to lose more money in the long run if they tighten things too much.
Yeah, they're screwing themselves by doing that.
Yes, but to a large part, the two departments are independent, and sometimes you see casinos with respectable table games and tight slots and vice versa.
Okay. Do you want to do one from the audience?
Okay, let's see what the audience has to say.
Okay, awesome. So we asked that. I don't know what RTP is. Do you know what RTP is?
Return to player.
Okay, so Lightning Roulette RTP, and this is from Trevor. Do you understand that question?
Lightning Roulette is a game by Evolution Gaming. It's a software company for internet casinos.
Okay.
But what was his question?
That was it. I was wondering if you understood that, because I didn't understand that. So.
What was his question?
He says Lightning Roulette RTP.
Oh, okay. Now I thought that was his name.
Oh.
That I'm afraid I don't know, because what Lightning Roulette is if you make a bet on a single number, like say 23, what the game will do is, let me make sure I get this right. If you win, basically the win is randomized. It's not just 35 to 1 like here, but it could be anywhere from 20 to 1 to 1,000 to 1. But the wins are weighted, and I do not know the weighting factors. I do think, though, that Evolution disclosed the return to player, and I think it was very similar to 2.70%, and it's on a single zero game, as I recall. So the odds are about the same. as in conventional roulette. But if you if you click on gambling online and then click on software and then click on evolution, it will answer that question.
Okay, cool. So the next question is from Dirkymans, and he says, do you keep up with the latest hybrid table games such as Monopoly Live, Dreamcatcher, or Deal or No Deal?
Yes. Here's another. Those are also some evolution games. I love to write about new games.
You're really good at it too.
Thank you.
Really, yeah.
Well, that's if I may toot my own horn, that's what I try to do. Is that if there's a new game out there, if someone looks it up, does a search on it, I want them coming to me. I want to be the first person to write about any new game. So, I've seen so many variants of Deal or No Deal, though, that lots of people are doing that one. That one is really just you just take the average of all the cases and divide it by the bet amount, and there's your return. And the banker offers, when I've seen it online, the banker offers are always just fair. It's the same it's the same RTP as the game itself. Is they take a look at the average of all the cases, and yeah, that's the banker offer. But where was I going this? He mentioned the Monopoly Live game. That is a really well done game where it's like, I'm trying to go off memory here.
Was that the Big Six one?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, so they spin a wheel, and once in a while it lands in a wedge that says Monopoly or something, and then you go through like a Monopoly bonus. Okay. That's really well done. The graphics are really good. But on the math of that, I just don't know.
Okay. Cool. So the next question is, let's see. This is from DeMarcus. DeMarcus says, do you believe that dice setting works?
No.
Okay. That was an easy one.
Okay. Well, let me say that, is it possible that somebody has a craps table in their basement and that they can influence the dice a little bit on their own table after having practiced tens of thousands of throws? Maybe. But just based on anecdotal evidence, when that person goes to an actual casino, that table will be bouncier and it will have a different kind of felt on it.
It's not supposed to be bouncier.
Well, you see on craps forums, like, they will talk about the bounciness of every single table in Vegas.
Yeah, see, okay, just to say this real quick. Craps tables are not supposed to be bouncy. They're not supposed to be as padded as blackjack tables. If you have a hard edge or a hard surface, the dice are going to catch more and they're going to tumble more, which is why you want to have a hard surface on your craps table and not say put pad after pad after pad, which some casinos do, and it's really horrible because the dice don't roll in a random way.
Yeah, but the number of people who have proven to me that they can beat craps is zero. I can actually show you this after the live stream. I have a video of someone who does that, and it looks like they can do it every time. But I bet it was shot on his own table. No, I don't think so. I don't know. I'll show it to you after the live stream. I want your opinion on it. All right. Okay, so next question is from Dr. Theolin. Dr. Theolin. Hey, Mike, here are a few questions I think many players would find interesting. Land-based slot machines usually have their RTP set based on a coin denomination. The higher denomination is, the higher the RTP is. Is something like this valid when it comes to online slots as well? And is it also based on a denomination, a number of coins, or both? I would like to hear the full story behind creating math for slots. Oh, is that something different? No, that's a good question. I understand it. Okay. So here in Vegas, the Gaming Control Board will publish overall city return percentages by denomination. And it'll, for example, it might be 90% for pennies and it might be 96% for $5. But online slots, and I can say this because I've designed so many of them, is that there's two ways I can do it. Some slot makers will just have one percentage for a game, and that's it. Like if their slot machine is called Weenie Dogs, then it will pay, say, 95% no matter what you bet. But other ones like real-time gaming, also known as RTG, will have 3 different settings that the casino operator may choose from.
Okay. And also, too, can you roughly tell a slot's volatility just by looking at the pay table?
You can tell a little bit about it, but not a great deal. I would say that if you see a lot of low pays, like 2, 2, and 3, it's probably going to be a lower volatility game. But so much of the volatility of a slot machine is in the bonuses that you really need to know how often does the bonus hit, and how much does it hit for on average, and how much, kind of like what is the span of the possible wins in the bonus. Like RTG slots, their bonuses don't hit very often, but when they do, they can be really big. So, yeah, that's an example of a more volatile game.
Okay, sounds good. So we have 15 minutes left. Do you want to focus more on these, or do you still want to go back and forth?
How many questions have we done so far?
We are on question number 9 out of 26.
Let's try to get to number 13, and we will do the other 13 on the next show.
So next question is from, I'm not even going to say this, from Rad. We'll just say Rad.
Okay.
This is from Rad. I saw a game that allows buying features for a certain amount of money. Is it a good strategy to buy them, or just wait for them to trigger automatically? And are betting strategies useful for slots theoretically, or are they made up just to rip us off?
Okay.
And I could say those 2 questions again too if you want me to.
Okay. Did you understand the one about buying features?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I think I know what he's talking about.
Okay.
With some slot machines, you can pay extra and the bonus will hit more often. You don't see that a whole lot, but some slot makers have that option. And
which ones?
I don't remember.
Okay.
But I know I've seen it. And much like here in Vegas with a lot of video poker variants, you can either play normally or you can pay an extra fee that will invoke some sort of a feature.
What, is that like the Pac-Man slot machine where you play the bonus with your friends? Is that something like that?
That's something different.
Oh, okay.
But with video poker, like, you might make an extra bet, and then if you get like certain hands on the deal, then something special happens, like you get to spin a prize wheel or something. Okay, but yeah, let me finish with this one. What was the question about it?
Are betting strategies useful for slots theoretically, or are they made up just to rip us off?
What was the previous page, like, about the buying features?
I saw a game that allows buying features for a certain amount of money. Is it a good strategy to buy them, or just wait for them to trigger automatically? Okay,
so when I make slots, I never punish the player for betting more. So the way I would do it is that if the player bought the feature, the return would be either the same or a little bit more. So it's probably, and I think most people that know what they're doing in the industry would do the same thing. You don't want to punish someone for betting more. Okay. So yeah, so you probably should buy the feature.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. So what was the second part?
And second part, are betting strategies useful for slots theoretically, or are they just made up to rip us off?
They're just made up to rip you off. Slots are a terrible way to gamble.
They are.
You will lose your money really quickly, and I know there's all kinds of books out there about how to win at slots. And granted, there are some ways that I could talk all day about. Like, there's certain slot machines like Ocean Magic,
Full Pay Deuces,
Golden Egypt. I'm talking about real slots right now.
Not
Harley Davidson, where there's like different states the game might be in, and if the previous player abandoned the game in a good state, like in Harley Davidson, if they left a whole bunch of free games and like these progressive meters, then it can be positive. So I don't want to say slots can never be beaten, but for recreational players, it's a lousy way to bet. The number of good books on slots I have seen is 0. I would love to write one, but it would get outdated quickly, and the people that play these games would hate me for it. But I have written 3 articles recently, one on Harley Davidson, the 3 games I just said, Harley Davidson, Ocean Magic, and Golden Egypt. Those games are beatable, and on my website I tell you how.
Nice. So
Okay.
go to wizardofodds.com.
Yep.
Check it out.
Yes, but in general, like betting systems, like you hear all the time, like if a machine has been cold, switch to another one. No, it doesn't help to bounce around.
Yeah, it's all random.
Yep.
It's a good one. Okay, next up is Lady Amy. I have a couple of questions for you about betting strategies in online slot games. One, is it useful to pay attention to the pay lines? Do you have any advice if they are not fixed, paying on maximum pay lines or playing fewer lines?
Generally, it doesn't matter. With most games, the odds are the same on every single pay line. A big exception, though, would be games like Da Vinci Diamonds, I think is the one, where if there's anything that's in a paying pattern, it scores it, and then all those symbols that paid something disappear, and then things fall down like in Tetris. So there, the pay lines do matter. Where, the top pay lines are worth more because they tend to see more what I call collapses than the bottom lines. So when I design games like that, I have to be mindful of about exactly how the pay lines are drawn. But for, I would say 95% of games, it makes no difference. And if you want to have low volatility, then you should make a small bet with lots of pay lines. If you want high volatility, then you should make a big bet with a small number of pay lines. And this is important things with bonuses is for making money on bonuses right now, slots are the hot thing. And most bonuses are for slot players. And there you want volatility if you're playing on a bonus. And for example, at Intertops, they have a maximum $10 bet for their bonuses. Mm-hmm. So the way you should do it is, if you could, I don't think you can. I think only the VIP players can bet $10 on one pay line. But for the normal players, the way I think it's a $2.50 maximum per pay line. So I bet 4 lines at $2.50 because I wanted as much variance as I can, because that's the only way you're going to beat a bonus, is because the playthrough requirements are generally so huge that you want to shoot for the moon, try to hit something really big early on, and then if you do, then you might cut back to a lot of pay lines at a smaller bet to kind of grind out the rest of the play. But for bonuses, you want volatility.
Okay, cool. And then her second question is, should we use a gamble button feature? Is it a good strategy in online slots?
Okay, I think she means the double up feature.
Oh, okay.
So lots of times in online games, and it can be any game, but especially the slots, if you win anything, then you can make it basically an even money bet to double your win. And usually you're betting if a random playing card will be red or black. And that is a good bet because it should be a 50-50 thing, no house advantage. So it's like taking the odds bet in craps. So if you're playing against a slot machine that say pays 95%, but you can tack onto it a bet that pays 100%, why not get as much of that 100% bet that you can? Now, of course, people have to consider volatility too. So let's say that you've doubled it up a few times and you've got to $1,000 and that's a lot of money to you, then I would cash out. But I would, the way I would play slots, now for bonuses, lots of times you can't double up, but usually the way I would play is, if you were allowed to, is I would try to double up, say to like $500, and then I would stop.
And that's just money management, that part of it, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to say I'm doing it because of money management. It's because, again, if you're playing a slot bonus, you want volatility because it's going to be the only way you survive that wagering requirement is having a good chance at a big win.
Okay.
As opposed to just dribbling out small bets, which are going to grind you down and you will lose all your money before you complete the bonus.
So that's what my problem is. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so next question is from Feeling Foggy. I wonder why. You've been to casinos all over the world, and I know that not every casino offers the same selection of table games. Can you tell us about some unique games or variations you've come across over the years? I like that question. That's a good question.
Yeah, one thing I love about traveling is you never know what game you'll see in foreign casinos. It would be easy for me to say, like in Macau, baccarat and sickbo are huge, and you're not going to see much blackjack or anything poker based. And craps is not very popular anywhere outside the United States.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and but what is popular that you can't find here? Like in Macau, they have this game called King Crab Prawn or something like that, where it's like sickbo, but there's symbols on the dice. And in Costa Rica, they have this game called 3-card rummy, which is like blackjack, but it has certain bonuses for like straight flushes and stuff like that. It's a little bit like Spanish 21. And in Panama, they had a common rule there where you could double on 3 cards. And yeah.
So is that just like different carnival games, or do they have different core games too? Like you were saying that most people don't have craps.
Yeah. No, I
So-
think it's just what people like in that country. And I think it's just goes by that country as opposed to nationality. For example, a lot of people say, well, baccarat is big in Macau because Asian people like baccarat. But no, it's just what grew there. In Argentina, which has also a fairly sizable Asian population, you hardly ever see baccarat. They love roulette there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Do they play American roulette, or do they play French roulette or European roulette?
They play single zero. Yeah.
European. Okay.
Yeah. And what else was I going to say? But even right here, like for some reason, Spanish 21 is really popular in the Southern California casinos, like in Palm Springs. But you hardly ever see it here anymore.
Yeah,
You
never.
know, just
yeah.
just bizarre. And in Detroit, crapless craps is really big. It's bigger than regular craps.
Oh wow.
But here, there's hardly any of it. So you just never know what game will catch on where.
That's pretty interesting. Very cool.
Okay, how many questions has that been?
We are on number 12, and it is almost 4 o'clock, 3:57.
Yeah,
What do
I
you
don't
wanna
want to
do?
go over an hour. Why don't we quickly scan the
And see if anyone has any questions.
any live questions or comments?
Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in here. Do you know the name Daniel Negreanu?
Yeah, he's a poker player, right?
Oh, okay, there you go. Yep, he knows. Okay, that was an easy one. Next up, oh, they're talking about dice setting, that's why.
Yes, that usually spawns a debate.
Is Double Up around anymore?
What do you mean by double up?
You remember the game Double Up? Okay, so that's a no. Next up is, if a player finds an exploitable error in a game, is it legal to exploit it? And what should they do?
Yeah, we were just talking about that on your show.
Yeah.
So, if the dealer overpays you, which I assume is what he or she is asking about, it becomes a moral issue. I don't think that it is committing a crime to take money that the dealer gave you in error, but I would have a moral problem with it.
Can I have the last question for this live stream?
Sure.
Can we quickly go over what is illegal when it comes to gambling? Because I know that that's sort of like a blurry line.
Yeah.
So, if, for example, card counting is not illegal. However, if you press or pinch your bet, that is illegal.
Yes.
So, there's just, what are the legalities?
Yeah, we could talk about that all day long.
We should have a live stream for it.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's not my strongest area, but yeah, certainly like capping a bet, using like a computer.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So when people tell you, oh, you can't have your phone at the table, that's actually because it's illegal. It's illegal to do that. It's illegal to use your phone on the game because it's illegal to use an electronic device to help you with.
Yeah, the law says you can't use an electronic No, it just says you can't use a device, but it doesn't say how a device is defined.
But it does include
Yeah.
the phone, so that's why it's technically
Yeah.
illegal to have your phone on the table, even though a lot of people don't say that that's necessarily the illegal part.
Yeah, but to make a generality, if you're playing a game the way it was meant to be played, but just playing it well, like card counting, that is legal. If you are taking advantage of dealer errors, that's legal too.
Okay.
But if you are causing something that to alter the odds of the game, like capping a bet, yeah, that's definitely illegal. And I know that there's some situations that are kind of in a gray area, but yeah. But maybe I'll research that one and answer it more properly on a future show.
I would love to do one whole live stream on just that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be a fantastic live stream.
Yeah.
If you're up for it.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And then there's also kind of like a difference between ethical cheating and legal cheating. For example, like let's say you're on a loss rebate program and you're going to get a certain percentage of losses back. You could easily get more money you're entitled to by just rat holing some chips. And there's no law against putting chips in your pocket, but I would consider that moral cheating.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do that. I really want to do that. We're going to do
Okay,
that.
so
That's pretty much it. We got to question number 12. We did not get past question number 12, but we have a lot of questions for the next live stream.
yeah, so at least we'll have something to talk about next time.
And when is next time?
Okay, so let's see. Today's the 19th, right?
Yes.
So
And next week is Christmas, and then the week after that is New Year's. So I'm going to see you next year.
wait a minute. So Christmas. So 7 days from now will be the 26th, right? I'll be available.
You want to do it?
Yeah, I'll be in town.
Okay, so do you want to do what we did here, where we do my live stream and then your live stream?
Sure.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool.
Great.
Yes.
So you'll be in town too?
Wait a minute, the 26th?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to take that week off. Okay, it looks like I'm doing it.
Well, thanks for coming out of your vacation
That
to
was
do
a
it.
really quick vacation. That was a super fast vacation. That lasted an hour.
But isn't this fun?
It is. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
So
Okay, so we'll do that on the 26th. So
okay. Well,
sounds good.
cheers, Nick, and to the audience, I say Merry Christmas,
Yes.
Happy Hanukkah, Festive Festivus. May you have a blessed Kwanzaa.
Have fun partying.
Yes,
Woo!
especially on New Year's Eve.
Yes.
But
But we'll see them before that.
Yes,
so.
whatever you celebrate, may it bring enlightenment to your soul and joy to your heart. And don't hurt anybody else.
Yep.
And
All that
I
fun
will
stuff.
see you in a week.
It's great to see
Okay.
you guys.
Thanks for watching, audience. See you
Thank
next
you.
time. Bye.
Bye.